So with y'all, man. Y'all know what time it is. We probably gonna have a shorter walk today, though. Probably gonna be shorter today. Make sure people are in here so we can talk about this voting process. Read some articles and and stuff, and I have my thoughts on it, but I want to make sure that people get in before we start talking about it. When you get in, man, hit that like button, say what's up, man. My bad. The trash getting collected today. What's going on? It's a little loud, so I'm gonna hold off on really getting in to the point yet, but I think we honestly can say, what's up, man? We can honestly say that Dak probably was robbed last year of the MVP. Regardless of what happened against Green Bay, I mean, the voting, it doesn't make sense. There's a lot of inconsistencies with it. And I was just reading an article on Apple News or whatever, right? And it was pretty much pointing that out, right? Whether you thought Josh Allen should win the MVP or not, there's just a lot of inconsistencies there. And I think I can pinpoint exactly why it is the way that it is. I think that it's not even just NFL. Voting in general definitely should not be left up to the writers. It should not be up to the press to vote for these for these awards and stuff like that. I feel like they should create panels of ex-players, ex-coaches, maybe some media members that were part of the game that actually played. And then you have some people that don't write at all, which is some of the ex-players and stuff. What's up, Cajun Cowboy? What up? The reason that I don't think that it should be writers is I don't think that it's fair to certain people. I don't think that any Cowboys player, for the most part, unless you just completely dominate, or especially the quarterback position, you're never going to get voted when it's your time to get voted. Now, maybe the Walter Payton Man of the Year, but that was a snub from the year before. You know, those type of awards, you know, our guys can win. Dak can win those type of awards. But when it comes to comeback player of the year or MVP, it's like, why are the votes the way that they are? And the reason that I believe that it shouldn't be up to, what's up, J Money? It shouldn't be up to the writers because these guys have they have a bias. And it's not, look, I don't want to make it about Dak. It's just that this is a Cowboys channel, so we're affected by that. We're affected by that as Cowboy fans. But if you guys are creating the articles, the stories, the storylines, and all that stuff for clicks, of course you're going to start reading and you're going to start believing the bullshit that you write. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of it is bull. A lot of it is narrative. A lot of it is story creating. Like, for example, Josh Allen gets credit for a lot of things that nobody else would get credit for. Nobody gives James Cook credit for really being instrumental in helping turn around Buffalo. Nobody gives, trading for a receiver at a time that they need to when Josh Allen was struggling. People forget things like that. All I know is I knew Josh Allen was going to win because Josh Allen was picked as an MVP candidate when nobody thought he should have been. And I'm just going to be 100 with y'all. I'm not an Eagles fan at all. You know, quite frankly, their fan base, when they're obnoxious, they're obnoxious. But this was Saquon's year to win that award. And I feel like Saquon was robbed of it because they wanted to make it a quarterback award. And so the way to make it a quarterback award was to make it Lamar versus Josh Allen. That was their way to bring it over to Josh Allen because the Associated Press, whether they want people to believe it or not, they care who wins these awards. They care. So the way that they could get it out of Saquon's hands was to, okay, let's make it quarterback versus quarterback. They were going to, Josh Allen was going to win that award even if Lamar won that game. Josh Allen was going to win that award regardless, bro. Even if Mark Andrews catches that ball. And I thought about it because you want to know what the excuse would have been? It would have been that Lamar had Derrick Henry. Somebody on their voting ballot put Lamar Jackson, gave him a fourth place vote with the numbers that he put up. Nah, no way. We sat and we watched Josh Allen win and be competitive in playoff games where he wasn't throwing for 200 yards. Sound familiar? Sounds familiar a couple times because we crucified Jalen Hurts for it. Josh Allen's doing that. We crucified Dak for it early. And that's why Dak is the way that he is now. To be honest with you, I liked it better when Dak was, you know what I'm saying, I like dink and dunk Dak better because I felt like that was a better winning formula. Okay, Sacred Secret said, what was the excuse for giving Lamar MVP last year? Yeah, it's exactly what I'm saying. These writers, so to get to the point, I was like, Dak will never get a fair shake when it comes to this because the Cowboys are always talked about. And a lot of it's in a negative light. Like, sure, Dak has his flaws, Dak has his issues, but so does everybody else. Everybody else has those same issues too. And it's glossed over. It's glossed over. It's not the same. So if these same people who are writing these stories, I don't know what the hell going on over there. But yeah, for the same people that's creating these narratives, those are the people that are voting. And I don't think that that's fair because your career, right? The reason that I say that, I think it's like a conflict. I think it's a conflict of interest because if your career is based on you creating captivating stories and the Dallas Cowboys, you look up on Google Trends or something like that and the Dallas Cowboys are trending, Dak Prescott's trending for something negative. You know, the easy thing to do is to make it a negative story. It's always going to be negative in Dallas. It's always going to be negative. So when it comes to him, that's why he lost the MVP last year because I guess he was in the same boat. He was in the same boat as Lamar somewhat. But I don't think it was Lamar. Like I'm pointing out to you guys, I don't think it was Lamar's turn this year. I think it was Saquon, personally. But what they'll say is it was Josh Allen's time. And yeah, I think the voting is a little messed up. Somebody even talked about in that article how Sam Darnold won Comeback Player of the Year, how they changed the rules for that just to pick the person that they want. Because Sam Darnold wasn't hurt or DeMar Hamlin the year before or something like that. Like they constantly move the goalposts. That's my issue with writers as your key voters. You know what I'm saying? That's my issue. You know, whether you believe, like homie saying in the chat, Dak ain't good enough. I'm saying why Dak didn't win it last year. Because he probably should have won it last year. But if you look at it, if we're being consistent, right? Lamar won first team AP All-Pro last year. He won AP first team this year. So he should have won MVP, right? He should have won MVP, right? We can't pick and choose what we decide. And that's the thing about narratives, man. That's why I don't think that these guys should be voting. They should create a panel. They should create special panels. And it should be people who are far removed, not necessarily far removed from the game, but they're watching the games and they're following. And that's what their job is. Like, for example, you look at Jim Nagy for the Senior Bowl, right? That's an all year round process. You know, they're looking for talent all of the time. Constantly looking for talent, looking for talent, looking for talent. If you guys, there's 60 people in here, we only got 4 likes, man. Hit that like button so we know, so people will know. But I think that for the Senior Bowl, they do that right. Like, that is something that was created, and Jim Nagy in his position, they're constantly looking for talent. They're constantly locked in, they're locked in for next year's class right now. And so what I'm saying is, for the Heisman, for NFL MVP, all the stuff that Associated Press is, you know, those, everything that they're in cahoots with, or they get to pass out the award. There should be a panel that votes. Shouldn't be the writers. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, that's just my stance on that, and I'll look and see what the comments are. Okay, Sacred Secret said Josh Allen should have won it last year. He had the best stats out of everybody and defeated a less than 5% chance of making it to the playoffs by going on a run and getting the 2nd seed. So, because he should have won it last year, he should win it this year? I mean, why couldn't Lamar win it last year? To me, I thought it should have been Dak last year. I thought it should have been Dak based off of what he had to overcome. All of that type of stuff, all of the narrative. You know what I'm saying? The defense and, you know, game-winning drives that the defense gave up. Like, I mean, I don't know. I thought Dak should have won it last year, but that's just me. A lot of us thought Dak could have won it last year, or maybe he could have got more first-place votes than he did. But guess what we got to look at every day? We got to look at Speak, First Take, all these type of... Those guys get votes, guys. Those are your guys that's voting. People that got to keep the lights on. And how do they keep the lights on? You talk about hot button Dallas Cowboys issues. And a lot of last year, I'm not going to say this year, because I do think Dak deserves some fault for this year. But last year, you know, there were things that and narratives that were created against Dak that wasn't his fault. Like, I remember Joy Taylor saying something along the lines of, he ain't got no big game moments or something like that. Bro had a big game moment that week and nothing. Crickets. You know what I'm saying? So this year, though, Saquon had everything you needed. He had everything you needed. Big game moments, dominating, you know what I'm saying, record-setting type season, 2,000 yards. His team's in the Super Bowl, you know, big-time playoff moments. Because if you want to count the playoffs, I mean, it gets no bigger than some of the moments that Saquon was able to create this year. I mean, like I said, they made it a quarterback duel so that Josh could win it. Because if you compare Josh to what Saquon is doing, I don't think Josh wins that battle. I don't think he wins it. It was a by elimination thing. And then Joe Burrow got a second place vote. And that's what kind of gets me a little bit, because if we're talking about stats, Joe Burrow skipped some people in the line because of his stats. But now we're saying that stats don't matter when it's Josh Allen versus Lamar. Or stats don't matter when it comes to being a running back. The biggest thing for me is, I think the league treats running backs like complete garbage. Complete garbage, man. Straight up garbage. And I mean, they might as well just make the NFL MVP award just the best quarterback. You know what I'm saying? You can have the offensive MVP and the defensive MVP, because it doesn't even make sense, too, that your offensive player of the year, if it's how does a quarterback how is that like the most valuable if the quarterback doesn't even win the offensive player of the year? How does that even happen? Let me see. Captain Orange says scripted entertainment, bro. Yeah, for sure. for sure. Charles Hart said Hall of Fame voting is broken. Need different process. Woodson getting snubbed again is crime. He a big part of 90s Super Bowl teams in his career. Woodson better than others in Hall of Fame. Cowboys haters. Yes, yes, Charles. Yes, bro. Yes. And honestly, I thought yesterday let me know that Woody's never getting in, bro. He's never going to get in the Hall of Fame. Because with that class, if he can't get in with that class, there's a lot of quarterbacks and receivers that's on the way, bro. A lot of quarterbacks and receivers that's going to get pushed in front. And I don't know that Woody gets in. And I'll tell you another Cowboys great that I felt like should be in the Hall of Fame based off of position. You know, because fullback in the 90s and in the early 2000s was a thing. You know, that was a position, that was a need. And I think that, you know, the fullback of the all-time leading rusher with 3 Super Bowl rings as well should get way more consideration than he does. Because we talk about moments and you talk about not being able to tell an NFL story without this guy. There is no dynasty without Moose. There's no dynasty without Darren Woodson either. But there's countless guys out there. Like I said, this is a Cowboys channel, so we'll talk about the Cowboys people that get snubbed. And yet, I'm going to sound like a Jason Witten hater because part of me hates the Jason Witten kind of Cowboys. I hate that, not Jason Witten per se, because he was brought in by Parcells. But I hate when Parcells left what they made him. Like, there's no way that I should be reading an article on ESPN about the 2026 inductees for next year and Jason Witten be amongst the top 5 that's named in that class. I'm sorry, what? You know, I'm sorry, what? Nah, We ain't win nothing with Witt. And, you know what I'm saying? I'm trying to think. I think he's what? Is he second in receptions for a tight end? Behind Tony Gonzalez. I think that's what I read. That's not enough to me for him to be in the Hall. That's not enough. I feel like if you don't got rings, you got to have records or you got to have the All-Pros. And I was looking at it and I'm like, nah. And look, that's not just him. Like, I know that there's Giants fans out there right now looking at Eli. Why Eli didn't get in first ballot? Because Eli ain't had no All-Pros. Eli ain't had no records, bruh. What's gonna allow him to skip the line to be in the Hall of Fame is that he won the 2 rings and he got Super Bowl MVP, and that's very rare. But as far as his career, I mean, it's very comparable to like Romo's, to be honest. Very, very comparable. But I'm not gonna diminish the rings in the Super Bowl MVP. If Eli got in next year, I wouldn't be upset. The only thing that made me upset was when they were talking about how he should be a first ballot. And I'm like, first ballot? All these quarterbacks that he played with during that time, I mean, it was very rare that as long as he played, where Eli was considered a top 5 quarterback during that time. And it was some heavy hitters during that time. Heavy hitters. But yeah, to your point, yeah, I don't think Darren Woodson's getting in the Hall of Fame. I just don't. And I'm glad you brought that up because I was gonna talk about the Hall of Fame. I was gonna talk about it. I thought the class yesterday was a cool one. I thought it was a good one. You know, I don't got no complaints about who got in. I'm glad Sterling Sharp got his love because if you go back and you look at Sterling Sharp and what his career was, you know, growing up, I knew that Sterling Sharp was one of the best receivers in the league. I knew who Sterling Sharp was before Shannon Sharp was. So I could definitely attest to it. Like, I remember playing video games. I forget which one it was. And it was like, oh, damn, I forgot to record my walk, man. All right, damn, we good. All right. Yeah, I remember Sterling Sharp, man. You know when you kids and you in the backyard, you with your friends and y'all playing football and you get to pick who you want to be. I remember growing up And a lot of people wanted to be, oh, I'm Jerry Rice, I'm Sterling Sharp, I'm Emmett, I'm Barry, I'm Jim Kelly, I'm Troy Aikman, whoever. Like, kids don't play outside no more. So this generation is a little different. These guys don't really understand what that is. And I think that that's what Hall of Fame should be. Now, lineman is a little different. Like, if you get some dominant guys that have been, all pros and stuff their whole life, or not, or a good portion of their career, like Zach Martin, I think, if he continues or if he stops, I think Zach Martin is a Hall of Famer. Maybe not a first ballot, but certainly a Hall of Famer. I'd have to, like, I know me and Scott Walker still, we argued for a long time about Tyron being a Hall of Famer. And I think it's going to be tough for Tyron. I think maybe 30 years down the line, possibly. But there are going to be some tackles in that time that are going to surpass some of the things that he does. So it's going to be, I mean, when you don't got rings, man, you got to make up for being dominant. And when I think about Tyron Smith's time in the league, there was a time where I think he was the best tackle. So you could make that argument. But then I think that Trent Williams has come along and just completely wiped that position away. Like, I think Trent Williams is a first ballot Hall of Famer. Trent Williams for certain, bruh. For certain. Akira Williams says the media was waiting to give Josh the MVP. How are you second team All-Pro and winning MVP? Make it make sense. That's what I'm saying. That's exactly what I'm saying. So, yeah. I mean, exactly what I'm saying. That's why last year when Lamar got it over Dak, I wasn't tripping. Because Dak won second team All-Pro. Y'all got to remember that. For the people talking about Josh Allen. Like, Associated Press votes for the All-Pro. So, how the hell is the MVP different than the guy that y'all put on the first team? It don't make sense, bro. That's why there needs to be panels that make these decisions. Sure, some of these writers, they can give you names of guys that should be up. Maybe the writers come up with the names, but there should be different people voting. It should be different people voting, for certain. They need to come up with a different way of that. What up? I'm just reading the comments, guys. Okay, Professor O said, bro, one of the voters works for The Ringer covering pop music culture, Taylor Swift, and football. How is she qualified to vote for MVP? There you have it, bro. There you have it. I'm more qualified to vote for MVP than that voter is. And I'm at home. That's crazy. And I bet you Pat Mahomes got some votes from that person. I bet Pat Mahomes got some votes. That's crazy. Professor O said, why is Kay Adams voting for MVP? I don't know, bro. I don't know. MVP, yeah, they gotta change it, bro. Definitely. Professor O said, objectively, Eli had 4 good seasons at QB. He had 0 great seasons. He did have 2 great playoff runs, but his career is identical to Jim Plunkett, who isn't in the Hall of Fame. Damn, that's crazy. See, this is why I told y'all yesterday, Professor O is one of the best in the business, bro. When I did that live in the car yesterday, I told y'all, Professor O be on it. I hope one day somebody really, sees what his talents are as far as history, being able to figure things out, his analysis and all that stuff. Professor O, one of the best in the business. I'm going to tell y'all that straight up. There have been times where I didn't know where to look for something, so I just asked him, and he found the answer within a couple hours. This dude right here, one of the most talented in the business. I'm going to try and get him on with Cover 3 a little. Professor O created our name. He created Cover 3. That came from O. My guy. Salute. Okay. All right, Big Artist said, I see Jared Verse won Defensive Rookie of the Year. His stats are comparable to Sam Williams' rookie year, and Sam Williams played less snaps. I think that if you think about defensive rookies, I don't think this year was much of an impact. But I will tell you, when I watched Rams games, Jared Verse was all over the place. I can tell you that. He definitely had an impact on games. I watched quite a few Rams games, and every time he made a play, I was like, damn. Tuck tried to tell everybody about Jared Verse. I do remember that. So, offensive rookie, I'm more versed to talk about offensive rookie than I am defensive rookie. I have to go look at some of the guys, but I do remember Jared Verse and watching games and him having an impact. Noah Messi said, what the F was Dak robbed of? I mean, I talked about it earlier, but I mean, he was robbed of MVP votes last year. Based off of how they voted this year, he definitely was. I'm not saying he should have won MVP, but he definitely was voted. I mean, he was robbed of votes last year for sure. And it's because of the people that are voting. You got to create controversy. And if you create it, you're going to start believing it. Because based on the body of work, yeah, Dak definitely was in the discussion last year for certain. Should have got a lot more. He should have got more first place votes than he got. And he was robbed of comeback player of the year a couple years ago when Burrow got it. That should have been Dak's too. Or it should have been closer than what it was. You know? But he wasn't robbed of anything this year. But we're talking about last year. Based on what was made up this year, based on how the voting went, and I mean, there's just a lot of inconsistencies there. That's what he was robbed of. He was robbed of a fair opportunity. Like I saw yesterday, Tuck and Acho walked up on Tuck at the Super Bowl, right? And it was all love and stuff like that. But Tuck asked Acho, you know, what's the issue with the Cowboys? What's going on with the Cowboys? And he said, you ain't gonna like to hear what I gotta say, but y'all need better quarterback play. I mean, he ain't wrong. He's not wrong with what he's saying. But you gotta remember, I don't even know if Acho was defending Dak like that last year when Dak was having great quarterback play and we still was having issues. I mean, you can say what you want to say. Second team All-Pro, that's great quarterback play. Second team All-Pro. Like the way that All-Pro is voted is a little bit different. You know what I'm saying? But still, I mean, it doesn't make sense. Like your first team this year, and then you don't win MVP over the guy that you beat out for first team. I don't know. That's a little weird to me. But I can tell you this. Saquon probably was unanimous first team. It wasn't even close. You ain't even fighting over there. You're not even fighting about that one. So maybe I should have made it Saquon was robbed. But this is a Cowboy channel. So we're going to talk about the voting process. And the voting process does go back to last year. Because Lamar won it last year. And he did less. This year, Lamar knocked everything out of the park. Knocked everything out of the park. Let me see. Texas Cardinals says second team All-Pro isn't first. Dak is trash. So is Josh Allen trash? Because he won second team All-Pro this year and won MVP. What are we talking about, bro? Get your ass out of here. Get your ass out of here. I'm not going to remove you or do anything like that, but come on, bro. What are we talking about? What are we talking about? Are we going to objectively talk, or are we just going to come in here just to hate? We going to objectively talk, or we going to come in here to hate? Second team ain't first team. Bro, there's how many quarterbacks that play in a year? Probably like 40 with injuries and all that type of stuff. And you're going to say the second best quarterback is trash. Hell out of here, bro. You tripping. tripping. We tripping. But yeah, it's not just the NFL though. Hell, we can go to college. We can go to Heisman too. Heisman's a little different. Heisman too. Actually, Heisman might be a little bit more uniform. But still, it's like, how can the people who got to create the clickbait-worthy stuff? Because honestly, if you think about it, right, the title's a little clickbaity on this video. So just imagine if I got a vote. If y'all feel like I'm a Dak lover, if y'all feel like I got rose-colored glasses when it comes to Dak Prescott, just imagine if I created this title and you think it's clickbaity, and then I get to vote. That's exactly what it is. Every segment over probably about the last 5 years has been dogging Dak Prescott out more than anybody else. It's to the point now where it's so bad that I don't even, when even I feel like there's a smidge of something Dak did bad, I don't even want to talk about it. I don't even want to talk about it, but I know I objectively have to talk about it. He didn't have a good year this year. He wasn't good. You know, we fell off the grace. We fell off, and I think we're asking him to do too much. I do think we need a run game. I do think we need weapons. I think that's when he's his best. When we have a run game, we have an actual runner that you can trust in the backfield, and when we got receivers that can get open. You can't ask a guy like Dak to do more with less and expect him to. It's just not who he is. He's not that good. He's not. There's very few that are, though. There's very few in history that are. So I'm not going to knock him for that. I could knock him for, I could talk about Dak and other issues. I could talk about him in leadership issues somewhat. But as far as play, bro is still a top 10 to 12 quarterback in the league. I mean, consistently, I had him at about a top 10. Consistently about a top 10 quarterback. That's about where he is. He's about 9, 10. You know, if you got a couple guys in front of him, you got him at 11 or 12. Yeah, he's definitely up there. And he definitely has enough. He has enough of what he has to win in this league. I think we got to get better at coaching. I think the coaching has to be better. You know, I think that, getting some players around him. We can't keep getting these Jalen Tolberts and Jalen Brooks and guys like that and expect to do what he needs to do. I mean, you wouldn't ask Josh Allen to play with these type of receivers. And they tried to do something similar, and guess what? They went and traded for Amari Cooper. Josh Allen needed a trade to bail his ass out this year, just like Dak needed when we brought in Amari. The only quarterback, in my opinion, that can win more with less is Mahomes. He's the best player in the league. He might be the greatest talent we've ever seen at quarterback. I think he's the best talent we've ever seen at quarterback. You can ask Mahomes to do that. But remember, Mahomes had already won titles. Mahomes already had skins on the wall. He had skins on the wall when you asked him to do that already. Before then, he had weapons. He had crazy weapons when he won his first one. And throughout time, when you keep winning, guys get more expensive. So we understand that. The turnover in Dallas has been really bad. They hang on to guys a little bit too long just because they drafted them and they love them because they want to be right. There's some receivers and some running backs that's on this roster that shouldn't be. There's some defensive players that's on this roster that got re-signed to deals and we stuck with them that shouldn't have been here. Because we had the replacements on the roster, and you just got to keep churning and keep drafting and developing more talent. The thing about Dallas is we got cheap development issues. Cheap development issues. We want to develop all the undrafted guys. You know what I'm saying? At offensive line, we just want to throw talent at the position, but no real coach, which we just hired a coach today, though. Just hired Kansas State's offensive lineman coach, which is good because he gets a chance to work with Cooper Beebe again. If you wonder why Cooper was the way he is, hey, we got somebody in here. And the one thing that I do know about Kansas State, watching them throughout the draft process over the years, is that they're a tough football team. They're a tough football team. They're always tough. They're always tough in the trenches, especially with running the ball. You know, if you saw Cooper Beebe's tape last year, you know, and some of the things that they were doing, they did a lot of gap scheme stuff. They did a lot of getting to the second level. I'm really excited about the hire. I don't know what his name is, but I saw it on Twitter right before I went live, and I'm really excited about that. These are things that can help your quarterback. These are things that can help your quarterback. All right. All right, Professor O said Lamar shouldn't have won last year, but definitely should have this year. 41 TDs. I think 4 ints, 4 rushing is incredible. And if Lamar, here's the thing, I think Saquon should have won. But, you know, if Lamar did win, I'm okay. If he did win, I was okay with it. But the things Josh Allen was able to do this year, I mean, you can't, if you're going to look and say Lamar has Derrick Henry, then you got to give James Cook a lot of credit for the things that Buffalo was able to do because he unlocked their offense in certain ways. You know, the Bills, even last year, didn't start winning games until they started running the ball. So for the people talking about the stats last year, like if you remember, Buffalo really didn't turn it around until they started handing the ball off. Todd Church says, is Pat winning with less? He always had weapons. I think guys got healthy. They got healthy, so it looks a little different now. It looks a little different now. They're going to go into the Super Bowl with some weapons. Hollywood Brown was out most of the year. Somebody else got hurt. I can't remember, but that's why they had to trade for D-Hop. He got weapons now. They starting to get healthy. But last year, he definitely won with less. You can't take that away from you can't take that away from him. He definitely won a championship with less last year. Professor O said Mahomes is incredible, and even with that, KC tried multiple times to give him weapons. Meanwhile, Dallas is drafting dudes like Schoonmaker and Mozzie. Correct. And even at the trade deadline, they were active. Kansas City's always active at the trade deadline. They always try and get Pat Moore. They always do. And they got the best coach in the business right now. They got the best coach in the business. I mean, you can, if they go and get this three-peat, you can argue that Andy Reid, even though he doesn't have as many rings as Bill Belichick, you could argue that Andy Reid is the GOAT. I mean, as far as offensive plays goes, as far as play calling, I do think Andy Reid is the GOAT. You know, I don't know if anybody can argue that. I mean, I'm going to tell you this about Andy Reid. I don't know if I said this on the channel or not, but when you see them pull to the side during the timeout, you see them on a timeout or whatever, and Pat Mahomes is talking with Andy Reid. You see him, you see the quarterback coach. They got the clipboards. They're covering their mouth. Andy Reid takes 2 steps on the field. When Andy Reid takes 2 steps on the field, your ass is grass. If Andy Reid takes 2 steps on the field, your defense, man, you better be prepared to see whatever play that they drew up probably that week and somehow always works. My dog is the GOAT, bro. Andy Reid is the GOAT of play calling, especially in situations. And don't give him no time. Like, for example, Super Bowl week, they always get 2 weeks or whatever. But I am interested in the matchup between him and Fangio. Fangio always kind of gives them trouble. And what I didn't know until I researched is that with Philadelphia, when they made the Super Bowl 2 years ago, Fangio was on staff as a consultant. And it was a tough day at the office for Kansas City until the last couple drives. You know, they kind of slowed that offense up. And it really took some timely play calling from Andy in that game. So Professor O said, I'm excited for GH, GT, TC counters in Dallas. Modern run scheme will be fun. Yeah, bro. Yeah. And by modern, it's like, you know, all of the schemes themselves aren't modern, but it's how you dress them up. So I'm excited too, bro. I really am. I'm excited to see what Shotty can do. I really am. People have been asking me on the street, how you feel about the hire? And I'm like, I like the hire. I even like the coaching staff. I really like the coaching staff that he's putting together. I like the coaching staff a lot. I mean, if you look at it, I mean, it even looks different. The coaching staffs in Dallas used to look like, I mean, just go to the Dallas Cowboys site for staff. Just go look. It looked like, you know, we had a bunch of country club coaches that like each other. With this staff, it looked like we got some guys that's ready to coach some ball. Some of these guys might dip. Some of these coaches, if you've been around the game long enough, you know that coach that dips. They there to coach some football. They ain't there to mess around. You're not there to mess around. What up, Twyman? Yeah, I'm getting those steps in, brother. Definitely. In the afternoon. Have to. Professor O said, condensed formations with more bunch is music to my ears. Now they just need to actually do it. And also, too, we need Ferg to step up, bro. We need Ferg to step up if these are some of the things that we're going to be doing. We need him to step up in the blocking game. If not, span forward. Look for span forward to have a really good chance to get some playing time this year. Look for span forward. Because I'll be honest with you, there was a good stretch this year where it was span forward and Schoon. And I think we got more out of the run game with those guys. And, you know, every now and then they surprised. They surprised with like a catch here and there. So, you know, Ferg definitely going to have to step it up this year. And I know he might have been injured. There were times where I looked, and it looked like Ferg, when he caught the ball, if he was healthy, he might have jumped over top of the person. And he didn't. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, injuries might have been an issue with him. But we'll see. You know, I'm looking at Matt Batten. What's up, bro? And he said that span forward was great. I don't know that he was great or if span forward just didn't have much expectation and he exceeded the low bar. We got to stop doing that as fans. You know, we like somebody that exceeds a low bar, but somebody that has a higher bar, you know, they might be performing well, but we act like they're doing trash. Like they're performing like trash. We got to get better at that, for certain. Professor O said Peyton Hendershot is about to win the Super Bowl. Yeah, and I didn't want span for. I mean, I didn't want Hendershot to go. That's part of my issue. I think that they want tight end to be a certain way in Dallas. I liked fun Hendershot and fun Ferg. I don't know. I loved it. And I think that we ruined it. I think we ruined Hendershot. I think we ruined him. Matter of fact, I know we ruined the kid. And I'm happy to see that they picked him up in Kansas City where they wanted him all along. And he got a little bit of a home. Yeah, sure, you behind Travis Kelce. You behind the Hall of Famer. Y'all want to know what first ballot looks like? That's what first ballot looks like at tight end. I know damn Jason Witten. Look at Travis Kelce. That's what it looked like. And on top of that, Travis Kelce ain't holding none of these tight ends back. That's the part for me that really makes me sour when it comes to Jason Witten's name. Jason Witten was selfish. He was selfish, and he didn't make nobody in that room better. He didn't make nobody in that room better. So I'm also glad he's not on the coaching staff. Also glad he's not on the coaching staff. For certain. Yeah, I'm dogging Jason Witten. It is what it is. Was a hell of a player with Romo. Was a hell of a player for a long time, and I won't even say that. I won't say that he wasn't. But there was a lot of things that Jason Witten left in this culture that we're still trying to weed out right now. There's a lot of things. Yeah, somebody said Dak robbed. You got to go back and watch the playback. I ain't repeating myself. It is what it is. I talked about it in the beginning. I ain't going back. It is what it is. Rico Jones says we develop players and let other teams get the rewards. Glad you said that. Because that's how I feel about Osa. I feel like Osa, J. Lou, and Golston. We need to, those are the three names that we got to make sure that we bring back. Because especially Golston and Osa, with them being young, I think with Osa, he's starting to reach that point in his career where the defensive tackle really understands the league. They understand the blocking, they understand the speed, and the game is starting to slow down. And so anybody that gets Osa right now is going to get a prime prep player that has been developing. So I think that you gotta. He's at a point right now where you don't pay him top D tackle money, but you can give him a nice little sizable contract that keeps him around, and you get him at the prime of what he's going to do. So we got to be very careful. That's probably the first person I'm looking to sign. At first I said J. Lou, but the more I think about it, Osa, a little bit younger, but he's also reaching that prime that you want a defensive tackle to get to. And if you can't sign him, if somebody offers a lot more money for him, then you go find somebody else's Osa. And you pair him up with another D tackle on top of what Mozzie is. And you draft one too. Like, we need some depth there, like actual good depth at the D tackle position. So, yeah, that was an excellent comment, and I wanted to talk about that. Ty Church said, would you take Kinlaw over Osa? I don't know. I think it depends. The price tag does matter. I'm not willing to break the bank for Osa, per se, like top DT money. Washington or somebody like that might be able to offer him that. And he might be priced out when it comes to that. So we'll see. I don't know. That's a tough question. His contract projection is 15 mil plus. But it really, I mean, projection is projection, but it all depends on what people want to pay him. What the agent's able to secure for him. Twyman said Osa has to get signed first, and J. Lou, and see if Zach is coming back. The Zach dilemma is definitely a dilemma, because y'all know before I was like, get Zach out of here. I want Hoffman. But with this new coaching staff, and if he's able to get healthy, you know, I might have to rethink that. They might have to restructure some things because I know he got some void years or something like that. I don't know the particulars to his contract, but I know that it's a little. I know that they can bring him back if they wanted to. So with this new coaching staff and the things that we're able to do, if you look at Detroit, we still were able to see the execution that we were getting. So yeah, I mean, I'm okay with either way that they want to go about it. I'm all right either way, but I thought that was intriguing. But yeah, I'm getting ready to get up out of here, man. Appreciate y'all for tuning in. You know, for my live walk today. Got some good steps in. I actually went a different route this time, and so yeah, man. I'm gonna keep you guys in the loop. We're gonna talk every time something happens, but today we just so happen to talk about how the voting process is a little weird, a little rigged, a little biased, and how the league or other leagues or other you know what I'm saying? It could be NBA, anything, how they can handle it a little bit going forward. Maybe you give some of these guys who are ex-players, you give them a little pocket change to look around the league and see what's happening and really have an objective eye when it comes to this stuff. But appreciate y'all, man. We out. Peace.